Just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Welcome back to another episode of Keeping It Real with Najeh Wilkins. I am your host for the show presented by georgiaconstructioncareers.com. Excited to be here today. We're going to talk everything in girls sports. We're going to start with some wrestling, get to a little bit of lacrosse and soccer, obviously wrap up a little bit of the season of wrestling, and then we're going to get into just a little bit about a phenom that signed an NIL deal at the young age of 13. So yeah, that's going to be our headliner, Najeh's Top 5. Talking more about that story a little bit later. No guests today. A lot of people are busy. You guys all know today is the beginning of the GHSA state basketball playoffs. So we're going to also talk about some key matchups you got to keep your eye on. Some really good teams out there. But let's start the show with a little bit of update on girls wrestling. So right now, Carrollton, shout out to them. I might try to get them on the show next week. Their coach, Craig, had them on his show. They won the duels, and they also just swept and won the traditional tournament. So shout out to them. So following like their last month's team championship with its first ever individual championship with 103 points to beat Woodward Academy and Lumpkin County, they have swept and won the duel. So the traditional. So shout out to them. That is excellent. And then just some winners from the tournament. Girls individual champions. We'll talk about them at each pound and weight and who were some of those champions. So at 100 pounds, it was Aniri Patel from Woodward Academy. At 105, it was Ali Wayland from White County. 110 pounds was Brooke French of Alatoona. At 115, it was Artemis Eaton from North Forsyth. At 120, it was Vera Spencer of North Oconee. At 125, it was Maragona Lau from Glen Academy. At 130, it was Samantha Patton from Cook. At 135, it was Elle Kaufman of Lovett. At 140, it was Greta Garbuzavas from Lumpkin County. At 145, it was Ayana Fletcher of Northside Columbus. At 155, it was Ariana Bacon from Greenbrier. And then at 170, had Genevieve Ann from Kennesaw Mountain. At 190, Tara Burst from Southeast Whitfield. And then at 235, it was Ayla Evans from Southwest DeKalb. So those are the champions. Shout out to you guys. That took place this past weekend at the Macon Centraplex. So shout out to all the champions that won it on the girls' side. And then, I had to give a special shout out to Ava Watson, who's having a big season. She's ranked. She's pretty known. She won Region 8 7A Player of the Year. Buford's actually going to start their playoffs tonight. Let's see who they're going to play real quick. That's right. So, yes, Buford is going to play Wheeler. Like I said, had a phenomenal season so far this year. 24-3, 10-0 region record, went undefeated, and that's with another really good region opponent in Mill Creek that has a really good basketball team, but went undefeated there. Only recent loss was to Holly Innocence, who has a really good girls basketball team, but they are having a very strong season for the Buford Wolves, and they will be hosting Wheeler in the first round, which will be going on tonight. So shout out to them. And then also I wanted to give a little bit of congratulations to Woodward Academy coach Kim Lawrence. She won Region 3 6A Coach of the Year. And, they had a strong season last year, but I thought this year they were even better. She did a really good job losing some of her talent, but, got 3 scorers in double figures, who we'll talk about in a second. Cameron Herring is having a dominant season yet again. She's averaging 15.4 points per game, which leads the team. She's also been grabbing about 6 rebounds per game, 2.6 steals, and 1.3 blocks. And what's so cool about her is just her growth and maturation. I didn't get the chance to see her this year, but I know I went to a game last year when they played Lovejoy, and you can see the flashes there, right? Her being able to handle the ball at a a good level, at a high level, and then being able to set up her teammates, being able to get to her sweet spots and knock down shots. But this year, she is leading them in scoring with 15.4, and just looks like she's hitting another level when you check her film. And what was so cool was she was playing within the system last year, sophomore, but she was not their main scorer. But this year she is, and she's been balling. It looks like she's the real deal. She's been blowing up in recruiting too, getting all these major offers coming in for her services. So wanted to give her a shout out. She's been doing some great things. And then Woodward Academy. Also, like I said, they had a good season, 22-5, went undefeated in their region, and then their top scorers so far are all averaging double figures. That's Herring, who we mentioned earlier, Kayla Whitner, and then Z Williams. So they all have been having magnificent seasons for Woodward Academy, and they're going to open up the playoffs against South Effingham. Excuse me. So that's going to be interesting to see. I think in 6A it's kind of interesting to see who's going to kind of come out on top. Last year it was so deep, right? You had so many teams. You had Lovejoy last year, who was really good. You have River Ridge, so it's going to be tough in 6A. But Woodward might have something to say, but I think River Ridge would be the early on favorite in 6A, just with what they can do. Sophia Pearl, we did a teletape on Finley Parker, Michaela Roberson. They got so many girls that can fill it up scoring wise, and they don't need a lot of touches to be dangerous. So I think that's where it starts. In 6A, it starts with them and seeing who can kind of knock them off. So I think that is going to be interesting to see who can compete in 6A. But Woodward is going to have something to say. They got some really good play. And the good thing is some of their key players that have been good this season, they're juniors. So they're going to have this experience and be able to keep moving forward. All right. But as top matchups go, Girls State Championship Tournament begins. Talking best round one matchups. So Lakeside Evans, they're 22-6. And then Rockdale County is 20-7. So I think this is a pretty interesting matchup. Rockdale County lost in the region tournament, so they end up getting the 2 seed. Rockdale County is led by their outstanding point guard, Tremaya Berry. She's averaging 16.2 points per game. Probably have one of the more well-rounded teams with 7 scores averaging 5 points per game. So don't always see a lot. Sometimes you see teams, they'll have just one main scorer and then everyone else, but they do a good job of distributing the basketball. Everybody's touching it when you check out their film, and they play really cohesively, good together. So I think that's kind of goes in their favor going forward. And right now they are one of the hotter teams. They did lose to Woodward Academy, but they were on an 8-game winning streak before that loss. So they were playing some of the best basketball at the right time. Woodward Academy is Woodward Academy, but definitely playing some high-level basketball at the moment. And then Lakeside Evans, they're led by Asante Porter. She's averaging 20 points per game. Has played her best basketball towards the end of the season. Get this, guy, she's red hot. She's scoring 20-plus points in her final 6 games. So that is very big for her. And, that's what you want to see, right? Towards, the start of the season, she's getting it going. And then now she is completely shown that she has the full package. And she's doing really good on the defensive side of the basketball, 4 steals per game, and also got about 3 rebounds. So she's been doing some major damage for Lakeside Evans. And then got to give a shout out to sophomore Kobe Barnes. She's averaging a double-double along with Asante. Kind of good on the post, good on the glass, can dunk it down to her, allow her to get easy buckets, around the rim, and then she protects it very well as well. So she's averaging, 12 points per game and 12 rebounds. So doing it on both ends of the floor. She's also, like I said, been impressive. And she's averaging, get this, guy. So I talked about her defensive numbers. She's averaging 7 blocks per game. Yes, 7 blocks per game. She has 2 10-block games this season. So she's been filling it up. Kobe Barnes has, and I think she's going to be very important if Lakeside Evans wants to kind of win this game tonight, and if they're going to be able to kind of make a little bit of a run. So I think that's going to be very important for them. But yeah, shout out to her. I mean, you don't see that every day. Somebody averaging 7 blocks a game. That is next level. So shout out to her on the defensive side of the ball and offensive side of the ball. So that is my number 1 matchup so far. And then the next one I think is going to be really intriguing. I got to go with Stockbridge versus Cherokee Bluff. I think this is a interesting game. Senior Carrington Wilson, she's their leading scorer. She's averaging points per game, followed by Jayla Folks, averaging 11.4 points per game. And then Kalai Ingram, she's averaging 10.5 points per game. Any of these three players, I think, are capable of filling it up and making an impact on any given night. So that goes in their favor. A lot of times you see in the playoffs, they're going to try to, neutralize, take away your top player. If you got three girls that can, fill it up and score at a high volume rate, when they try to take away one player, you got other players that can make them pay. So that is crucial. We've seen it in the state championship games last year. So I think it's going to be very, very vital for the other players to step up. And I think that's what they have so far. So those three have been playing well. And Stockbridge won their region championship. They defeated Luella, who's also a very, very good basketball team, got a really good head coach, beat them 50-41, and capped off a 14-0 region record for the regular season in the region tourney. So special shout out to them. They have been doing their thing so far this year. In a lot of their sports, football made it to the state championship, girls basketball undefeated in the region. So shout out to them. And then Cherokee Bluff, they suffered 2 region losses to North Oconee and Walnut Grove in the region tournament, and they got the number 4 seed. So before the 2-game skid, they won 8 consecutive games. The Bears secured their first 20-win season in quite some time. I was going back and looking and checking MaxPreps. Probably had to been at least 7 to 8 plus years since they've had a 20-plus win season. So shout out to them, one of the better teams so far. Just unfortunate, really deep region, but was able to make the playoffs. So that's all that really matters in that instance. So they have been doing their thing. And then as far as there's some other matchups on there, let's see what pops out really quick that also caught my eye. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I see any others. Okay, I think this matchup is interesting. So they have not had a strong season, but as you guys all know, Brookwood was the defending state champions last year, had a really good team. Diana Collins, really good pieces on there. Kind of a rebuild year for them, but I think still good. Didn't have a winning record, but, still made the postseason, so I think that matters in that tough region they're in. But they are going to be playing Carrollton. Surprisingly, Carrollton did not win their region championship. But they have a really strong team. I remember seeing them in a lot of rankings high up. But if we look at Carrollton, let's go back and just revisit kind of how it went. So they were 23-4 this season. They went 7-2 in the region. They lost, looks like, region championship to Campbell. So Campbell got the 1 seed out there. They lost that 51-47. So a close-knit game that gave Campbell that number 1 seed. But Carrollton, I seen, was a lot of power rankings this year. They only suffered losses to that, like I said, Campbell twice. They actually lost to them. And then they also lost to McEachern and Grayson. So McEachern's another team that's been high in power rankings all year. So, I would say they got some quality wins on the schedule as well. But those teams all are tough, And then they were able to beat Stockbridge, who's, we just talked about how good of a team they are. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think that's when it's going to be a little bit intriguing to see what kind of Brookwood can do in that matchup. Like I said, not the strongest season, but I think they have a pretty bright future. I'm interested to see what they do, in week 1. So that's 7A. 6A, like I said, last year it was very, very deep. I don't think it's as deep this year. Definitely not. Let's see if there's one more matchup we can look at. Check 5A. Well, I'm going to go with this one. I think the next one I want to talk about real quick is the Hiram-Kell matchup. I think that one is really intriguing. As I said, Kell, they played GAC. Craig had their coach on, I believe that was Monday yesterday. I think that's an intriguing matchup because, Kell, again, a lot of young talent on the team. A couple seniors sprinkled in there, but, Asia Thompson, some really good pieces, I think, coming back, especially next year. They're going to get some good playoff experience. They got the 2 seed out of that region. So, Hiram is a really good team as well, can shoot really well. But Kell is going to be home, and then the Kell is going to play the winner of Jackson Atlanta, Fowlerly Branch in the second round if they're able to win that game. So Kell's a team I kind of got that I think can make a potential run. I think their bracket sets up pretty favorable to make a potential run in the postseason, and I think they got the talent and the coaching in order to kind of make that difference and make up for it. So those are my top matchups of what I got right now, just to kind of watch out for. I think that would be really, really intriguing to see. And then as far as I wanted to give an update on the coaching carousel so far in girls basketball. So far right now we got some openings. There's openings at Walnut Grove, Alatoona, East Jackson, Lowndes, North Cobb, Creekview, and then Kingsridge. So right now those are the openings after the regular season has concluded. So interesting to see who filled these spots, how these spots are filled. But those to me are the top matchups this week, or today, for round one of the postseason. We'll see how round one finishes. Round two, I'm sure, will be a dandy as well. But that's all I got for right now. We're going to take a quick short break, thank our sponsors, and be back on the other side.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
All right, guys, welcome back. So coming to the second segment of the show for today, going to be talking about girls lacrosse. Rankings are going to be dropping tomorrow, so it's some major happenings out there, some major matchups that happened this past week, and then we're going to talk about some that can have some pretty good, pretty big implications, I think, on the rankings for next week. So let's talk about just some of the results that are going to impact it. So gotta give a shout out to Seconder. They're 2-2 so far this year, but have some pretty good wins on their schedule. Grayson, Decula, I think those are really, really good as well at 2-2. And then they just picked up a 7-5 win against Grayson. Excuse me, McKenna Casa, she was their standout freshman. She had 3 goals in this game, and then Adriana Diaz added 2 goals in the win. So that was a pretty big quality win for them. And what's so cool is Seconder is still kind of a new team, right? And they're building. They just recently opened up their doors. I think they're like maybe a 3 or 4 year school. So to see them being able to have this type of success on different levels, basketball, lacrosse, girls lacrosse, and being able to kind of affect winning, I think is really, really awesome. So I want to give them a shout out. That was a big win for them on Tuesday. Thursday, we had a big win for Dunwoody. They won 22-1 against North Springs. Another team off to a blazing start to begin the season. Dunwoody is still undefeated. Eddie Barong was their leading scorer with 4 goals a game, and then Mackenzie Miller follows her also with 4 goals a game. So you got 2 big scorers that can fill it up and can get into the spots of the defense and score at will. So I think that's big for those two. And Dunwoody looks pretty good so far. And let's see who they're going to be playing in the next couple of weeks. All right, so 4-0. They got a matchup tomorrow night against Riverwood at 5:45. They play Woodward Academy, Brookwood, Chambly, Calvary Day, Savannah Christian. I kind of got that game March 14th against Marist Circle. Then that'll be an intriguing game between those two teams. Kind of see who comes out on top, who is the winner of that one. So that's another big one. And then got to give a shout out. I think Blessed Trinity, I kind of previewed this game last week. I don't think they're messing around. I mean, Pope is very, very good this year. They came into this matchup undefeated. They both were. And they handed Pope a 19-9 loss. So I think them scoring that many goals, I think, says a lot. and I think they're just showing that they are kind of the class of 5A, 6A. Like I said, team that has won 3 consecutive state championships and off to another blazing start, I think. And I think their eyes on the prize. Their offense is next level. Has been top all year long to start, and I think they're going to be a tough team to beat. So we'll see who can kind of be a challenger. But right now, no teams just yet. But Pope, they're off to a good season so far. So 3-1. So they'll probably slide them down a little bit, but not too much. Not too much. I mean, Blessed Trinity's on another level. And then Lauren Ebersol, she's been having a good year so far. She's scoring 4 goals a game. And in that matchup, she accounted for 44% of the points. She scored 4 goals of the 9 that they scored in that game. So she's having an awesome year. Wanted to give her a special shout out as well. So I think that's going to be intriguing to kind of see how that plays out for Pope the rest of the season and see who can kind of give Blessed Trinity a little bit of run for their money. So that was that matchup. And then another big one was South Forsyth against Buford. South Forsyth's having a phenomenal year so far. They're 4-0. They beat Buford 15-2. So getting it done on both ends of the floor, scoring 15-plus goals, only holding Buford to 2. Buford, I think, is going to, they didn't have their best year last year, but they're going to be a lot better this year. And I think, they're building an impressive resume early, South Forsyth is. They already got early wins so far against a state champion favorite, I think, coming into the season, along with the Blessed Trinity against Roswell. They beat them 19-13 early on in the season. As you know, Roswell made that deep playoff run before losing to Blessed. So I think that resume, man, is building for them. They got another big matchup coming up. We'll talk about that a little bit later when we break down the matchups. But they have already some pretty good wins on the resume. So they're definitely somebody I got my eye on, and they're going to be able to prove it with this matchup this week. But we'll talk about that in a sec. And then Saturday, North Oconee had a really good win against Greenbrier, 10-3. And I got to say, Wesleyan right now is topping my rankings, but North Oconee is really pushing them. They were number 3 coming into this week. I think I might push them up. I'm considering maybe 1, but I might push them up to number 2. I think they are a top team, a team to beat right now. They're 5-0. They look very dominant so far this year, and they have been, really doing their thing. North Oconee has some pretty good wins. They also beat Oconee County. Let's see. Can pull that up real quick. Okay, yeah, so peep this guy. So they scored 10-plus goals in every game so far this year, right? They beat Greenbrier 10-3 to 1. We just talked about a couple of days before that. They beat Oconee County 15-2. They beat Lakeside 16-6, Grayson 20-0, Archer 25-0. So I think they have been, playing at another level. Obviously, they'll get tested a little bit later. And, you might want to circle that game. They're going to play Wesleyan April 18th. So that might be some must-see TV right there between them two, because I think those two are the top teams right now in lacrosse, and they're going to match up later in the season in about mid-April. So far, so good for both of those teams. And then River Ridge, big win against Carrollton. They went 17-5. Now currently, ranked right now, but I might have to put them in the rankings. Strong start to the season. I believe they're still undefeated. But yeah, they've really caught my eye so far. In the win against Carrollton, you had Caitlin Mandarano. She was the leading scorer. She had 6 goals in the game. And in Reagan Beard, Emery Polk, and Emma Morris all had braces, so they all had 2 goals each. And then Caitlin Milligan, she had 4 goals as well. So they have been distributing it well, and they got a lot of girls that can get around to the post and really score and wreak havoc. So Mandarano, she's averaging 6 goals per game so far, according to MaxPreps. And Mulligan's averaging about 2 goals a game. So those two have been dominant so far for River Ridge, known for their girls basketball, but they're doing their thing on the lacrosse field thus far. So shout out to them. Those are my big results from this past week. Of course, there'll be more games throughout the week. Go to ScoreTL scoreboard and get all those results there. All right, so as far as top matches to watch this week, we got a couple of them that are really, really, really good. I'm actually really excited for, to be honest with you guys. So we got on Wednesday, it looks like. Yeah, Wednesday. So tomorrow night, this is the game. I already talked about South Forsyth. I already talked about the resume building wins, beating Buford, beating Roswell. But now they're going to play the creme de la creme, right? That's Milton. As I said, Milton's the standard in the sport. You know, they have won 16 plus state championships, I believe 6 in a row. So this is the standard. So can South Forsyth, you know, hang with the big dog? You know, I think that's the biggest question. And the Lady Eagles so far, they have not missed a beat. You know, scored 15 goals in each game. We talked to Coach Gabi. You can go back and watch that interview. He talked about kind of figuring everything out, new pieces in there, but the new pieces in there are stepping up big and have been doing their thing so far. So despite replacing some of that key talent, I mean, they're hitting on all horses right now. And they're one of the top scoring teams, I think, right now in the state. So, you know, they are going to be ready to go. And I think it's going to be interesting. And then for South Forsyth, I think with a win like this, like, right, you set the tone, right? And then this is a region matchup. So between two contenders, I think. And if South Forsyth, you want to be, you know, I think taken serious, like, this will be one of those wins. Like, okay, hey, like, this might be kind of like a different year. We might be able to, you know, contend for a title. And I think, you know, you've seen that last year with West Forsyth, right? Lambert is kind of the standard in men's lacrosse, boys lacrosse, right? And Lambert was able to finally get over the hump. They finally got that one win against them. And then they played in the state championship. West Forsyth ended up winning it all. So it was that one win that was, like, big for their program, for their school, that, you know, kind of had that residual effect, essentially. And they was able to capitalize on it. And they ended up winning the state title. So I think for South Forsyth, if they want to have something to say, this might be the more vulnerable year for Milton that you can kind of attack and try to win. So I think if you're South Forsyth, got some really good players, some good seniors on there, definitely is the type of game you want to try to win. Again, you'll probably end up seeing them again in the playoffs, but region win, area win, you know, these are kind of games that you're going to remember early in the season. And then as a coach, you can use these type of games, you know, like, hey, okay, we beat the top dog, you know, and you can always kind of go back to it, you know, as a head coach. You can always say, okay, well, this is what we look like against elite competition. This is what we were able to do. And then if you have things like that, you know, that's going to kind of bring your troops together. So I think it's a big game. And I think, you know, if they want to be in that state championship conversation, getting a win like this against, you know, Milton, I think definitely goes a long way. So it won't be easy. Milton usually has a very good, stellar defense. And then we know what they can do offensively, fill it up. So I think that's the top matchup so far. Definitely going to have a lot to do with the rankings as well. So Wednesday, 5:45, man. Go check it out. All right, and then Thursday, got some pretty good matchups. Chattahoochee versus Cambridge. Both teams looking for a signature win this season. If either wins, I think they certainly do so. Chattahoochee is 2-0. And then with the game coming up against Marist High School, they could be 3-0 going into this matchup. So they play tonight and then now follow tomorrow, or Thursday, excuse me, with that matchup. So will be interesting to see. Cambridge has beaten each opponent by 6 goals or more in their first 4 games of the season. So it will be their first game in 7 days. So already rested up. That definitely, you know, bodes in their favor. And then so those two going at it, I think, will be really interesting. And then I want to give some love to some of the top goal scorers so far this year. Campbell has 2 of them. 2 of the top scorers in girls lacrosse. You know, at number 5 is Ava Garmong. She has 18 goals so far this year. And then Hayden Glover leads them with 6 goals and 2 assists. So those are some of the top ones. We revealed the number 1 a little bit later on, but I think Campbell is another team, another girls lacrosse team that's having a great year, where we talked about what they did on the basketball court. As far as lacrosse goes, just a real quick update, 4-1. Only loss so far was to Woodstock. Woodstock's 2-2, so tough loss there, 13-8. Kind of held them down. That was their lowest scoring output so far this season. And their wins, they won 4 of the first 5 games, and they have hit, they have hit 15 plus goals in each of those games. So they can definitely fill it up and definitely have a very, very good team, very good roster. And as I said, Lila Marble, she's averaging 8.2 goals per game, followed by Ava Gramong, 4.5 she's averaging per game, and then Sophia Talik with 1.5. So that is the leading scores for them. Let's see real quick. I think they got, their top matchups this week. So no games this week. They'll play Marietta on the 27th, so a week from today. And then they got Northgate March 5th and then North Paulding on March 7th. So North Paulding game, I think, will be intriguing as well. So those are the top matchups this week. Definitely go check them out. Milton, South Forsyth will be good. Chattahoochee, Cambridge as well will be another pretty good game. So that's what I got for us lacrosse. Go check those out. Those would be a lot of fun. All right, so got girls soccer. So far, had to give some love to Riverwood Anna Scott. She was named Athlete of the Week this past week. She opened the season with an impressive performance. She knotted a brace. Riverwood is 2-2 so far on the season, but they won their last 2 matchups 4-2. So good kind of rebound for them after kind of starting to a slow start, and Anna Scott has been one of those reasons why. So a special shout out to her. And as far as just to recap some of the top games from this past week, Villarica continues its bolstering start to the year. They're 5-0. They picked up a dominant win last night against Douglas County to beat them 10-0. So they are playing very, very good right now at a high level. They only have goal all season, so they are playing really good defensively, getting a lot of shots on goal, but their goalie has a lot of saves so far. She's been doing her thing. I mean, when you have a defense at that level and your goalie is protecting the net, you feel pretty good about your chances, even if your offense struggles. So shout out to Villarica. They are performing at another level so far this year. And then Darlington has has 3 consecutive wins after a 1-2 start. In their winning streak, they haven't conceded a goal. They're averaging 6 goals per game. They defeated Chattooga 5-0 in their matchup on Monday. So that was a top matchup between those two. They were able to win that 5-0. And then just real quick before we talk about the games of the week this week, just want to talk about the top goal scorers so far through the first 5-6 games of the year. So it's Jennifer Lopez Bautista. She has 18 goals from Glimmer. Abby Fraser from Stone Mountain is second with 16. Then you got a two-way tie at number 3 with Savannah Calloway of Dutchtown with 15. KJ Wells of Monroe area with 15. And then Zariah Strozier from Alcovey with 14 goals. So they have been doing their thing so far this season and performing pretty brilliantly. And for KJ Wells, this is her first year on the varsity team as a sophomore, playing at a high level. She already has the first 2 games of the season against Banks County, and let's see what team this is. Against Jasper County, she both had 6 goals in both of those games. So a fresh start for her as well. And then also on the same team, it's like for Glimmer, Jennifer, she has been getting kind of hot lately. 6 goals on February 12th, and then 4 goals against Treon, and then 2 goals against Union County. So as of late, she has been on another level. So those are the top goal scorers so far. Leaders in assists real quick. Kelsey Hinton of Sandy Creek with 10. Annabelle Williams of Cartersville with 9. Brell Delgado of Alexander with 8. Joy Itzen of Stone Mountain with 7. And then Jordan Gunn of SAA with 7 as well. So those are the top assists, and those are the top goal scorers so far. And a real quick shout out to Izzy Martinez of Luella. So far this year, leads the state with 99 saves. Yes, 99 saves for Izzy Martinez of Luella. So shout out to her. Strong season so far. Now, as far as games to watch, I think a top one is Norcross versus South Gwinnett. South Gwinnett is 4-0 so far this year, and Norcross is 2-1. So big time matchup between these two. Let's see real quick. All right, so right now for South Gwinnett, Lauren Ward is going to be one to watch in this game. She's averaging 3.3 goals per game so far. So she's going to be a top player. And defensively, it'll be Zanaya Johnson. She has 9 steals so far this year for South Gwinnett. So that's going to be ones to watch for. And then Norcross, 2-1 start so far. Watch out for Ashlyn Valentine and then Sophie Domert. Those are going to be 2 to watch in that matchup between those two. And Norcross off to a pretty good start, 2-1, as I said. Beat Mill Creek and Brookwood, and then lost to Lambert 1-0. So, see if they can rebound against South Gwinnett. That game is actually today at 5:30. So they're going to be starting off playing in here just a little bit. And then Norcross is going to play Huntsville and Grissom, 2 out-of-state matchups before returning to their in-state schedule. So, though that is the top matchup, let's see. We got another one. I think it's pretty cool. As you guys know, we had on Jason Longshore. He talked about some tough teams to watch, and he said Johnson was one of them. They're 4-0 so far this year. They're going to be playing Madison County at 5-0. So probably one of the best matchups you will see all season between 2 major contenders. Johnson's loaded with talent, currently led by 2 outstanding freshmen, Bridget Higgins and Keely Gonzalez. Bridget is averaging about 7 goals, and then Keely Gonzalez 2 goals and assists so far this year. And then Madison County outscoring their opponents by an average of 4.7 goals so far this year. And they score 5 goals in every game except against Flowery Branch. So that is their top scores. I think that's a massive matchup between those two. I'm sure we'll have something to say with the rankings on that one. But yeah, that's a marquee matchup between those two. And then you got Thomas County Central against Lee County. Thomas County Central comes in at 3-0. Lee County comes in at 3-1. An early season region matchup with these two teams off to really good starts. For Thomas County Central, Bailey Maroney has 17 points so far this year, with her 6 goals and 5 assists. And then they have 6 different players who have scored a goal so far this year. So that's your standouts for them. And then Lee County comes in at 3-1 with their only loss to Northside Columbus in the second game of the season. They've won 2 consecutive games since then. So those are the marquee games in girls soccer, I think, so far this week. Check them out. Thomas County Central, Lee County, Johnson, Madison County, and then Norcross versus South Gwinnett. But that's all for this segment. Take one more quick break, thank our sponsors, and be back for the wrap-up on the other side.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands and proper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, guys, welcome back. To conclude the show for today, Najeh's top 5, just the top 5, I think, greatest things happening in girls sports. I think this is going to be a segment, not just high school sports or high school girls sports in Georgia, but just around the way to recognize some of the top things that women and girls are doing in the sport, whatever sport that may be. And to start it off, number 1, I think the big headliner is U.S. soccer phenom McKenna Mac Whitham. She just struck a deal with Nike for an NIL deal at 13 years old. I mean, you don't see that every day. I thought that was super cool. She's the youngest women's soccer player and athlete to strike a deal with Nike. As far as the story, go to ESPN.com. They had the intel on it, but her comments on it, she basically said, "It means everything to me." William told ESPN, "I'm just super excited to be a part of the Nike family. They've done so many great things so far, and it motivates me even harder. I mean, not every kid gets to get signed by Nike." Their initial discussions started signing up at the start of 2024. She joins an elite group of Nike NIL athletes that include U.S. women's soccer player Simone Jackson, basketball players Bronny James and Juju Watkins, Iowa point guard Caitlin Clark, and many more. So far right now, she is homeschooled, will graduate with the class of 2028, and Willem plays for Southern California team called Slammers FC HB Coach, a member of the U.S. Under-15 Youth National Team. As well, she is. This past year, she made a name for herself at the national level by her ability to score with either foot outside the 18-yard box. And professional teams, in addition to brands like Nike, took notice. And then so far, the last few months, she's joined numerous leagues, including the National Women's Soccer League teams, including Kansas City Current, Washington Spirit, and NJ/NY Gotham FC. So I think that's super cool. I mean, that just shows you that it's changing. And, you know, obviously she's one of the top soccer players in the country, and I think that's cool. I mean, you don't see that every day, someone getting an NIL deal at 13 years old, especially with Nike. So I think that's super dope for her. I'm sure she's going to be flooded with Nike content and Nike apparel, and going to be wearing it everywhere she goes. But I thought that was super cool, and this kind of shows the difference in what we're seeing. You know, being able to strike a deal, we've seen different legislation for different high schools. Georgia's a good one. that passed the legislation, GHSA, and where you can kind of profit with your NIL. You obviously just can't have a school logo or any school paraphernalia on you when you do it, but I think it's super cool that some of these athletes can do it. Now, again, we pointed out a statistic on my other show, my boy show, that it's not a big percentage that are getting these type of deals. It's 0.000001, so it's very, very low, but I still think it's cool some of the top ones are able to, kind of profit and be able to get a little bit. Again, you don't know people's situations, and that's definitely very, very beneficial. Excuse me, in my opinion. So shout out to her. Go to ESPN.com. It's written by Charlotte Gibson of ESPN. Wrote it a couple days ago, so go check that out, man. That was some super cool stuff, and definitely wanted to give a very special shout out there. All right, so we talked about basketball a little bit earlier. I told you guys about the top matchups, but let's just look at some of the top 25 rankings before the playoffs start. This is on SI, High School FN. It's written by Colin Hubbard. Thought this was pretty cool. So his top 25, he got it right now in girls basketball. He has Grayson at number 1, 27-0. Hebron Christian at number 2 at 25-2. Number 3 has Mount Perrin Christian. Number 4 he has River Ridge. Number 5 Wesleyan. 6 St. Francis. 7 Buford. 8 Union Grove. 9 Baldwin. 10 Marist. 11 Norcross. 12 Hardaway. 13 Campbell. 14 Holly Innocence. 15 North Forsyth. 16 Carrollton. 17 Galloway, 18 Langston Hughes, 19 Pickens, 20 Jackson, 21 Carver Columbus, 22 North Paulding, 23 Milton, 24 New Manchester, and then 25 Wilbur. So we talked about Wilbur earlier. Glad to see them actually on this list. A couple other ones that stand out to me. Definitely got to say Campbell's won. Norcross, I think they're going to be an interesting team. Last year they made it to the state championship runner-up. But have a really good team. We know what Janiyah Akins can do. They got some really good shooters and good paint presence also on their team. So they're going to be dangerous, right? They're going to be one to watch for, see what they're able to do out there in 7A. And then Marist is another really, really good school. Got some really good players. You guys know they have Katie Harpering, so she's going to be one to watch. They're 25-1, only one loss all year. Whenever they're on the floor, you definitely got to look out for them. And then Baldwin, just have been just on a different level ever since that Norcross loss that they suffered on Peachtree Sports Network and the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic Basketball. Since then, man, they have been top notch. They've been one of the best teams, I think, and they've been playing really, really well. So it's gonna be interesting to see what Baldwin is able to do. Janiyah Walker, Cassidy Neal, Madison Ruff. They got some girls that can hoop, so it's gonna be interesting to see what they're able to do. And then Buford, 24-3. We talked about Ava Grace Watson a little bit earlier. Can they actually make some noise in the postseason? It's going to be intriguing to see out there in 7A. And then Wesleyan, I think, is a top team as well. Got some really good players. Brianna Preston is one to watch. But they got some talent all over the floor. At least 2 of their players in the ESPN or ESPN girls rankings for top basketball players. So they got the talent. Can they put it all together and make it a deep run out there? I think they are in 4A, so that'll be interesting to see. And then, we'll talk about the 1 and 2 here in just a little bit. And then Mount Perrin Christian is my other one. What are they able to do? They're entering the playoffs with a 10-game winning streak, and look, they could have a inside track in order to get to a state championship. I really like what they're able to do. And then we talked about River Ridge already. I mean, it goes without saying, just a dominant team. We got to see what they're able to do. Just so many scorers, man. So many players that can beat you. They're gonna be tough to beat, tough to contain, I think. So that is the top 25. Go check it out. Right there. I thought that was super, super cool. All right, and then at number 3, just want to talk about some pretty cool things for Player of the Week on SI as well. But some girls that had some really good showings in the region tournaments, try to help their teams win. Got Myla Benton. As I said, Craig talked to the coach. She's having a strong year, and she had a great performance against Cal. She finished the game with 25 points, 12 boards, and 5 steals on their way to winning the region state championship. They won the regular season title as well. So shout out to her. She's been having a good year. And the Shakir Gresham from Maynard Jackson also had a pretty good week as well. 16 points, 7 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, and a block in their win over Midtown for the region championship. So I thought that was super cool as well. Maynard Jackson is one of the top teams coming into the postseason. And then Cassidy Neal from Baldwin, we've talked about her, what she's able to do in their win over Griffin. 22 points and 11 rebounds. And if you guys don't remember, Griffin beat Baldwin last year. And as you talk to Coach, it still kind of sticks to her now. So I think they on another level, and I think this is their championship to lose. Like, you know, they got so many pieces, and is able to get that revenge. So I think they are here to make some noise. And then Sierra Alexander of Mount Perrin Christian, she led her team with 26 points and 11 rebounds and a dominant win over North Cobb Christian. She's put herself into that Player of the Week conversation. Obviously, no surprise here, Sophia Pearl of River Ridge, and they clinched their 4th consecutive region title, but behind her 25 points, 3 assists, and 3 steals. So special shout out to her. And then McKenna Nix of Temple. Temple clinched the 3 seed with a win over Crawford. And in that matchup, she had 17 points, 15 rebounds, and 2 steals. So shout out to her. Special showing. Riley Black of Chestatee in their 2nd straight region title win. She had 27 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. So strong performance right there. And then Sinai Cyrus of Loganville Christian. They took down BCA. She finished the game with nearly a 20-20 game. She had 19 points and 22 rebounds. So that is getting it done. And really a monster game for her to help punch their ticket to the state playoffs. And then 2 more. You had Coco Ramsey of Brunswick. She dropped 36 points in a win for Brunswick's 3-peat as Region 2 6A champion. So shout out to her. She had a great performance there. And then Lucy Hood of Rabun County. She led them in a win over Athens Christian. 29 points, 5 assists, and 5 steals. So go vote, man. Thought that was a pretty cool list they put together. Some of the top performances from this past week. Girls just absolutely filling it up and having some dominant performances. All right, so number 4, North Oconee and River Ridge. Teams so far right now that have really been impressive. I talked about them a little bit earlier, but they take my number 4 spot because I think they're 2 teams I did not expect to be, you know, where they are right now. And they're both undefeated. They both have been dominant so far. They've been making quick work of their competition. And I like that both teams can score and score at will, right? They can get hot and kind of score in bunches. I think that bodes well for them. You know, obviously River Ridge is in 5A, 6A, so they'll have a little bit of a tougher road with Blessed Trinity Roswell in there. And North Oconee will be in Class A through 4A, so I think their major contender will be Wesleyan. That'll be a tough one for them. We'll see what Westminster is able to do as well. But right now, I mean, just what they're able to do, how they can score in a bunch of different ways. I think it'd be interesting to see if they can keep up the dominant play because, as you can see, teams can start hot and then kind of tail off towards the middle to end of the season. But they have caught my eye so far and definitely got them trending up in the rankings for as it goes tomorrow. So I wanted to give them a shout out. I think they've been doing their thing and they've been having these dominant starts so far. So special shout out to them. Okay, and then number 5, I think the biggest question in girls basketball, right, in 7A and I believe 4A, and I talked about them being number 1 and number 2, Grayson and Hebron Christian, right? So it's postseason time. Like, my question is 7A, who can really challenge them? I think the big contenders, if I had to say, I think you got to go throw Lacrosse in there. You got to throw Buford in there. But Grayson's undefeated, right? 27-0. Already got a signature win against IMG Academy, one of the top ranked teams nationally on MaxPreps. Hopefully we can get to see them, you know, play. I don't know if they do it for girls. I know they do it for basketball. But sometimes they'll have like a national quick tournament. I think it's like top 8 teams, top 6 teams will go play, and then they'll play like in a national championship. So I would love to see Grayson on that list. And what's so cool about their season, they're undefeated in the region, and they're looking to win their first ever state championship. So I think that's super cool, and they'll be able to cap off, I believe, their first ever undefeated season. So some special things in the works for Grayson, and trying to make some history this year. So I thought that was a really interesting storyline. And, you know, as far as who to watch for, obviously Danielle Carnegie, a lead on both ends of the floor. She already has made some history this season, recording a quadruple double. And she's also had some big games just on both ends of the floor. And she's just been doing things you don't really see all the time. She's already increased her career points. I think she's at 2,000 career points so far. So she's just a special talent. And she's going to be going to Georgia Tech. I just think, she's next level, man. And what she's been able to do has been outstanding so far this year. They're going to play Richmond Hill in round 1. So I think if I had to say the 2 contenders that, may give them a little bit of a hard time would be those 2, Norcross and Buford. Those are the top ones in my eyes. And then for Hebron Christian, they're going to play against Cedar Grove, right? 25-2 on the season. And they are currently on a 16-game winning streak. Only suffered 2 out-of-state losses so far. They have not been beaten in state. So I think that says a lot. And so far, man, same thing. I just think they got so many players that they can lean on scoring-wise, right? Aubrey Beckham, Jakira, Danielle Oshu, and then Maya James. Any of those girls can, score in bunches and can kind of fill it up. So they're going to be tough in their conference. And I think they got an inside track to potentially win a championship. I want to look really quick just to see if there's any potential contenders against them in 4A. Let's see. Okay, I don't see him. I don't think they're 4A. I think Hebron's 3A. Let's see. Yes, they are. Okay, so yep, Hebron is 3A. Let's see. I don't see any teams. Okay, so peep this, guys. So they are on the other side of the bracket, right? So they start with Cedar Grove, right? Hebron Christian does, and then they also have on that other bracket Koala Creek, Pickens, Calvary Day, Pike County, Morgan County, and Doherty. At the top of that bracket is Richmond Academy, Monroe, Liberty County, Mary Persons, White County, Ringgold, Franklin County, and Carver, Atlanta. On the other side, Hart County, Douglas, Atlanta, Dawson County, Adairsville, Beach, Peach County, Harlem, Carver, Columbus. I think what's going to be interesting, it might be an interesting state championship. So Sandy Creek, Oconee County, Wesleyan, Upson Lee, Savannah Country Day, Thomasville, and then Cross Creek. So I did ask what team that could potentially lock either one off. I said my contenders in 7A. I think the contenders in 3A got to be Wesleyan, man. They got 2 girls that are in the rankings as far as top players in the country. And I think they're going to have the best chance. What's so cool is that they're on opposite ends of the bracket. Like, we had a bracket, like, they're here, and then Wesleyan's here. So they could potentially meet in the state championship, and I hope it happens because I think it'll be a top matchup. And what's so cool about it, both teams are ranked. Both teams are ranked nationally, and I think it would be just a barn burner to see them 2 go at it with Aubrey Beckham, Brianna Preston, all the great players that Wesleyan has, the phenomenal coach. I actually need to talk to her, see if I can bring her on, because I talked to her kind of early on in the season. But I think that's going to be a marquee matchup between those 2 if they can potentially, if it works out in that way, for a state championship on the line, all that great talent on the court. I think that'd be next level. So that's 3A. That's kind of my thoughts. And I can't wait to see how it plays out in girls basketball. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think we're going to have some really, really good games coming up. So that's all I got for today. I appreciate everyone tuning in. That's it on the Girls Sports. Stay tuned for my rankings for tomorrow on scoreatl.com. All the lacrosse rankings. Craig's show will be back tomorrow for Drive for Jesus State title at noon. So stay tuned for that. Any big guests? Haralson County head coach will come on tomorrow. So get the latest with that. That's all I got for today. Hope you guys have a good rest of the week, and I'll see you soon. Peace.